Serve to you fresh. We present to you local and international newspaper headlines for the day with in-depth analysis from seasoned professionals. Start your day the right way on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Nigeria Info.
We start your day the right way on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Welcome if you're just joining the morning Crossfire. Well, you're in time for us to check how the story is making it to the front of the pages. Welcome. I'm Wemimo Adewuni.
And I'm Sheriff Quadry, The Nation right here. Daily Independent is also on the table, and Daily Sun newspaper.
And I've got here The Guardian, The Daily Trust, The Vanguard newspaper, as well as The Punch. We look at the stories making it today. You can join us live on Facebook, also on YouTube, where we're streaming live at Nigeria Info FM. You can also listen to us anywhere you are in the world. www.nigeriainfo.fm. Rotimi Sankore is here this Friday. Rotimi, good morning.
Good morning.
Banner headline on The Guardian newspaper: Nigerians have right to freedom of speech, says EU. There are some riders here on The Guardian. Afenifere Ohaneze condemn 45-day detention order on Showore. Ozekome Frank, others knock federal government, DSS on constitutional breach. On the front page of the Daily Trust, DSS to detain Showore for 45 days. The story also makes it as a banner headline on the Vanguard. Hashtag Revolution Now protests rampas as DSS gets order to detain Showore for 45 days. And there are about 6 riders on this one here. Detention order is renewable after 45 days, says judge. You can roll over your data plan. Afenifere Ohaneze Pandef Oshitoku Gbagi Flay court ruling. It's bad news for genuine democracy, says Ozekome. Components of forceful takeover of government, enemies of Nigeria, says the APC. Serap seeks UN intervention over attacks on journalists and protesters. Buhari doesn't hear Nigerians, says Showore's lawyer. All of this on the front page of the Vanguard. And you also find it making the banner headline on the Punch. Court sends Showore to 45-day detention. Nigerians attack federal government. Detention order depicts DSS misguided mischief, says CDHR. And also another rider here. We will challenge court order, says Femi Falano.
From Daily Independent this morning, condemnation trails court order detaining Showore for 45 days. Front page Daily Independence newspaper. Front page Daily Sun as DSS gets court's nod. Showore to spend 45 more days in detention. Daily Sun newspaper. Revolution Now. Serap writes UN over attacks on journalists, protesters. Daily Sun newspaper. From Daily Independent, from The Nation rather, protest organizers defiant as court gives DSS nod to detain Showore for 45 days. APC revolution call treasonable. APC revolution call treasonable. The Nation newspaper. Rotimi.
Well, I think there is an army, if I may use that word, of constitutional lawyers, human rights organizations, well-respected voices on free speech, freedom of association, expression, assembly. People like Professor Wale Soyinka. I mean, they've made it clear. This is an abuse of process. Escalating. I mean, there are enough laws to deal with peaceful protest, even if it turns violent.
Yeah.
I mean, never mind a protest that had not actually happened. An escalation to treasonable felony, as I've said twice or thrice now, is a squandering of political capital by the incumbent government. I was rather hoping that they won't do this so that we can move on to important matters of electricity, healthcare, education, housing, nutrition, that this is what the government was elected to try and do. now that they seem to be making their main purpose appear to be intolerance, the political capital will disappear very quickly. Look, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. I'm betting you the PDP is going to start talking of political prisoners. That is what is going to be hanging over the head of the government. And if they then go ahead to start an actual treason trial of Showore and all the people that have been arrested, I mean, then shame on them. Because in any case, if they are successful with it and actually sentence them to life imprisonment or death, then what will be the legacy of the government? I mean, you are not elected to do this kind of thing. You are elected to improve the economy, improve, standard of living.
Right.
Not all this fragile behavior that, and as Femi Falana has said, his first witness is going to be the president, because the president is reported to have called for revolution.
That would be really interesting.
I mean, it's just going to be theater.
You think the president will show up as witness?
Well, then we will see. Because the president, the national chair of the party,
that's right,
the national leader of the party, so many of them have been reported to have called for revolution. The newspaper clippings are beginning to surface.
But if the court has granted 45 days to detain him, what does this tell us?
It's an abuse of process.
So, I mean,
it's an abuse of... Look, courts can rule wrongly on things. That is why there is appeal.
Okay.
That is why appeal court overturns. Okay. That's why Supreme Court overturns. It is inbuilt into the law, the possibility that judges can rule wrongly.
So Falana has said that this will be appealed. We can only wait to see.
Look, it even normalizes a more dangerous process. And APC needs to note the thing. And note is not a party thing. So if they are successful at doing all this kind of thing, and after the 2023 elections, the incumbent party then loses elections.
They might clearly understand why.
And then the party that comes in decides to start misbehaving as well, and then starts to detain current APC leaders indefinitely.
It's
under one claim or the other.
Yeah.
Then we'll be back to square one, calling for the release of APC leaders
or members
members because they've been unjustly arrested.
Right.
I mean, when you start to normalize things, you never know how it is going to come round. As people have pointed out, when Buhari was detained by the Babangida government, Amnesty International
spoke out,
was calling for his release, calling for the release of Tinubu, calling for the release and end of harassment of Oshiomhole when he was Labour leader. And so, I mean, is this what we really want to do?
Well, we're following this story very, very closely on Nigeria Info. Next story is here on the front page of the Vanguard. Declare security emergency in Nigeria, showing cartels Buhari. It's also on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Soyinka calls for state of emergency in the southwest. On the Vanguard newspaper front page also, Soyinka seeks state of emergency in southwest over insecurity.
From the front page of Daily Independent newspaper, insecurity, Soyinka calls for state of emergency. You can read further on page 4 of Daily Independent newspaper. From Daily Sun, insecurity, Soyinka calls for state of emergency in southwest.
What would this help us do?
Well, I thought that when soldiers were deployed on various snake dances and operations, that was the government's own interpretation of state of emergency. And several people pointed out that actually what they needed to do was to improve the capacity of the police to deal with civil matters. The government then chose to militarize everywhere. And as one of the next headlines we show, it is beginning to have consequences.
Right.
So the state of emergency really is not just deploying soldiers everywhere. The state of emergency actually should mean dealing with the root causes of the insecurity.
Okay.
And as I keep saying, starting with the Northeast and the Northwest, I'm yet to see the federal government call a summit of commissioners of youth, commissioners of education, commissioners of job and employment. And so, to say, okay, guys, one of the things
talk
driving...
about this. Let's discuss
one
this.
of the things driving this thing is high unemployment, lack of access to education, poor job skills. I mean, how are we going to deal with this? They are yet to call the commissioners in charge to meet with the federal and say, how much money are we going to put in? How are we going to escalate? How are we going to... Look, Monday is World Youth Day. They are not using those kind of opportunities. There is, I keep saying, no army on this planet has ever defeated poverty. It's not going to start in Nigeria.
Right.
It wouldn't start here. Let's see our next story, shall we?
We shall. Let's pick up this particular story. Army lied over killing of our men. Police, speaking there. The rider, Buhari orders investigation. Daily Independent newspaper, Army lied over killing of our men. The police, rider, Buhari orders investigation. That's from the Daily Independent newspaper. Similar headline from The Nation. Police, army clash over slain officers, civilians. Riders joint panel to probe killings. Buhari security chiefs meet. The Nation. Why there are security challenges by Buhari, The Nation newspaper.
On the front page of the Vanguard, killing of policemen by troops in Taraba. Police accuse army of lying. It's also here in the Punch newspaper. Slain policemen. Buhari convenes security meeting. Police demand kidnappers' whereabouts. How did millionaire kidnap kingpin escape with handcuffs? Another question asked by the police there. Slain corps arrested Evans. Secured Buhari's monarch's release. That's coming from the police. And also here on other papers, you can find this story. Banner headline on the Daily Trust. Hunt continues for kidnap kingpin as police fought the army. How suspect leaves large among the people. So you find these stories here. The police put up a long tweet yesterday asking questions from the army. Saying, how come,
series of tweets.
Yeah, tweets.
Series. Look,
right.
Every Nigerian that reads those series of tweets by the police should just be so alarmed.
Sincerely.
So alarmed. The police more or less accuse the soldiers involved in this of corruption.
Aiding and abetting.
Yes. That's I mean, it is so bizarre that the police is accusing members of the armed forces of corruption and alleging that they murdered their colleagues that went to arrest a kidnap kingpin. It is so alarming. Now,
why do you think this is alarming? The questions they raise, I think those questions are very valid. For instance,
that is why it is alarming.
Yeah,
now.
where is the kidnapper?
That is why it is alarming now.
That's why.
That is why it is alarming.
That's why we should be worried.
That's why we should be worried.
Everybody should be worried.
That the police is accusing
everybody should be worried.
The army of corruption involving an alleged kidnap kingpin, and not just that, the police is accusing the army of murdering some of its best officers.
Yeah.
That's right.
So this is a consequence of militarization of society. When you introduce soldiers into civilian matters, so they override the police. So that is one. Two, the army spokesperson didn't come out and say, oh, we are sorry, we regret we are going to look into it. The army spokesperson then came out to say that in fact the policemen were suspected criminals, kidnappers themselves. What is the job of soldiers looking for kidnappers? When I keep saying in developed countries you rarely, if ever, see soldiers step outside their barrack or their facilities in
unless
their
they are
uniform.
going
Right.
on a particular
Two,
duty.
Right.
You rarely, if ever, see soldiers on the street with arms.
Right. Right.
There is no developed country in which I have not seen any soldier that stepped out of their facility with arms is arrested immediately
Right.
and court-martialed
Right.
by the army. The
Because
police,
what are you
the
planning to
police
do with the
arrest
arms?
them and return them to the barracks and say, "We found your guy carrying automatic weapons on the street. What is happening?" The army with court-martial. Now we have a situation in which, and please, nobody should start saying it is an irony or mocking the police. That the police is calling for justice using hashtag. Yes, he's calling on the public to support
To
them
support
Right.
them in this.
in this using
Right.
hashtag. Please, nobody should mock the police.
Oh, but people have been mocking.
No,
I think it's a bit insensitive because we love
it is not
people.
necessary.
But people have raised critical issues that the police itself has been involved in killing of civilians.
Yes, it is true.
Some Nigerians
But-
feel
but
it's a taste of your own pie.
Okay, but it is always important to establish one thing. Even if it is 40, 50 or 60% of the police that are involved in corruption and a lesser percentage involved in extrajudicial killing, it is not the entire police.
Right.
And when this kind of thing happens, we owe it, the media especially, and of course, I hope the human rights community realizes this. When we call for justice for victims of police brutality, it is not because we are against police.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
It is because we are pro human rights,
rights.
standing up for democracy,
Yeah.
Right.
Whoever is involved.
whoever
Right.
is involved.
That's
Right.
right.
And as I said during when the Free Zaki processors were shot, arrested, or you don't stand up for people's human and constitutional rights and dignity because you know them or because they're on your side
Or because you
or
like
because
them.
you like them.
You don't have to
You
like
do
them.
it because that is the right thing to do. In
Right.
fact, you need not have anything in common
Right.
That's right.
with those people.
Right.
So, as in this case, we should insist that whoever killed those policemen should be brought to book.
Now the question raised, raised on that tweet the police put up yesterday is who then steps in to look into this? The chief of army staff is in charge of the army, the air force, and the navy, not the police. So are we looking to see the national security advisor, or the national security council step in,
From the statement I read,
or would the police sue the
Well, the
military?
president- Presidency said defense headquarters
the
will
first
handle the
thing we should
investigation.
do is not to militarize the matter. National security advisor, all those people. See, these are structures and processes that are set up to defend the country from external aggression.
right.
So they have no role looking into this kind of matter.
So who would look into it? The
Well,
courts?
Well, typically, and this is the irony, it should be the police. Now, if the police cannot do it, the way it would happen in more developed country. So let us use the example of the US, even though the current president there is rapidly demystifying processes and institutions there.
Yeah.
But normally it would be an organization like the FBI
Okay.
that looks into, because this is a clash between the police and army over the release of a criminal.
That's right.
The police went to arrest a kidnap kingpin that they say is well known,
Right.
transporting the person for trial and process. Elements in the army intercept. I mean, it's like a bad Hollywood movie. Elements
Right.
of the army intercept, not just alleged to have freed the guy, but
Shots.
shot police even after they had been wounded.
Yeah.
Right.
And some of them identify themselves
Went
as police.
and had. So normally in that kind of circumstance, the FBI, or in this case the equivalent, the DSS, will step in.
Oh, so
But-
the DSS should step in now?
Yes, but I said the FBI or its equivalent, the DSS. But the situation is this now. Even elements of the DSS themselves are being accused of abusing process.
That's right.
For instance, the siege on the National Assembly that led to the then acting president sacking the then director of the DSS.
Right.
Even this arrest of Shore now, people are alleging that, this is not an unanimous kind of thing, that is some over-sabi people.
So who
Right.
would be the arbiter here?
So globally, what this indicates is the Nigerian state is in trouble because all the security, armed force, they are involved in different controversy, public trust.
Can the police take the army to court? Can the courts look into this? And
normally they should be able to, but that will then raise the bar again.
Could this be a reason of unresolved cases in the past?
No.
This wasn't the first time.
So what should then happen is that the National Assembly typically should then step in with a proper commission,
set
call
up
witnesses,
a panel of inquiry,
subpoena people. I mean, those soldiers who ordered them out. Because if they were out on a mission, who gave the instruction? Was it the divisional commander? What were they sent out to do?
So if the National Assembly looks into that matter, they make a recommendation to the Chief of Defense Staff?
No.
Because of time, we need to pace this up. How will the process play
Again, let us leave defense staff out.
Why?
Because they should not be involved in internal police matters.
But the army is involved in this issue.
No. Once the soldiers are alleged to have done this are identified, they should be tried like criminals. And then the army can then do its own disciplinary measure. Internally.
Okay, I get that. Let's see this next story. We need to touch quickly. El Zazaki would not flee Nigeria like you. IMN tells Rufai, El Rufai on the front page of the Vanguard. That's quite one. So they're saying that, well, he won't go anywhere.
That's right.
Rotimi.
Well,
until he gets there and we see that he doesn't go anywhere. Would that stop him from going anywhere?
There are so many moving parts in this thing. So let us go to the worst case scenario from the side of the government. Just cut to the chase immediately. Seeing all that El Zakizaki has gone through on constitutional detention, his house has been destroyed, his compound. There are reports that up to 6 of his children have been killed. About 400 of his followers have been killed and buried, and so on and so forth. Let us just cut to the chase. The Kaduna state government is justifiably concerned that these are all legitimate grounds for asylum. That is what all this is going to now. And seriously, from what I know of international human rights law, I worked for a global organization that worked on freedom of expression, association, assembly for many years.
Right.
If if that is the choice of El Zakizaki, no serious country.
Zazaki.
Yes.
El Zazaki.
El Zaki. Okay, sorry. if that is what they decide to do, any serious country will consider those claims.
Right.
So the Kaduna state government stating the obvious is
they're trying to secure a commitment even from India that they would not.
But they can't. Under international law, you can't
tell them what to do.
You cannot secure a commitment
not to grant
from another
asylum.
Government to look into any claims that any with evidence.
With evidence.
You can't secure such a thing. It's against international law. El Rufai of all people should know this. So it's just an attempt to muddy the waters. In any case, it is lose-lose. If they succeed in holding the man indefinitely and he dies in their custody, lose-lose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Their best bet is just let the man
go for treatment and then let's see what
and
happens.
just hope that he comes back. If he justifiably decides to seek asylum, it is his right to make such a claim.
And the government can also ask that he be, brought back for there are processes into
yes,
this
you
thing.
can then apply and say, the guy is facing trial, that can you send him back?
Yeah, so
and
he can
so on
face
and
the
so
music.
forth.
All right, people, that is on the front page. So many other stories to look into. Go check the papers today. You find all of them there. We've been live on Facebook, also on YouTube, so you can watch a replay if you missed any part of our conversation. Thank you all for being there. We'll see your comment up on Twitter. Okay, let me read just one. Alakpade Sarafa says it is obvious there is no synergy among our security agencies, lack of intelligence sharing and others. An urgent security architecture overhaul is germane.
The army is not a security agency.
Yeah.
It's part of the armed forces.
Armed forces. But
designed to fight external enemies. People should stop mixing up things.
They don't know.
It is police and DSS that are in charge of internal security.
All right, Rotimi. Bola Akibami says better coordination of security agencies in fighting crime and now working at cross purposes in fighting crime. Igwe Victor says Nigeria has gone to the ebb of collapse and in a short while it will manifest. Just only yesterday, soldiers killed vigilante people who arrested herdsmen kidnapper and released the kidnapper. Well, I know. So thank you all for being there. We need to go. When we come back from the break, we're talking about women taking the lead in aviation. We'll have a female pilot joining us in a collaboration with the Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism. A journalist from This Day newspaper who did a story on women in aviation will also be joining us. Ifeoma Okeke shortly. Rotimi will be here with us too. We'll see you soon. I'm Wemimo Adewuni.
I'm Sheriff Quadry.